All the stereotypes that I had about them being a copy of K-pop, somehow it went down the drain.
Are you a K-pop, P-pop, or OPM fan?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a K-pop fan, yeah.
Yes, all three for me.
I like K-pop and OPM.
I don't really listen to any of those. An OPM fan.
OPM.
OPM fan.
No.
Ako.
Who do you listen to for OPM?
Mga banda ganun. Eraserhead.
For K-pop, New Jeans and HORI7ON. OPM, Arthur Neri. For P-pop, I'm sorry, I'm not well versed with it.
I'm like a basic guy, so yeah, New Jeans, Les Seraphim, viral song for K-pop. OPM, like Ben and Ben, Lalamore. P-pop, like I only know Gent. I've heard SB19.
I listen to a little bit of everything. I'm more into OPM and K-pop, but for K-pop, I think it's very entry level, like New Jeans, Twice, more of the popular side of K-pop.
Ako naman, mas gusto ko OPM.
Do you know SB19 or HORI7ON?
I knew of SB19 through social media.
I know of SB19 pre-debut because their debut was hyped up. And then for HORI7ON, I found out through social media as well.
Heard of them, yeah. TikTok.
TikTok, and I don't know a few of their songs like Gento and Go Up.
Yes, SB19. Because of Ben and Ben, their song Mapa.
Ben and Ben and To My Friends.
I know SB19 mostly. I've heard of HORI7ON though.
I'm not familiar with any of those.
I've heard of SB19. I think I've heard of HORI7ON also.
Maybe I've seen a poster of SB19.
I don't know, maybe like a billboard, like I
think
don't
it's
know.
like Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh yeah.
Is HORI7ON the one that went to Korea recently?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
SB19.
SB19.
Horizon hindi. Nanonood kasi ako sa TV madalas.
Through social media, my friends started posting anything related.
Yes, I've heard of SB19.
I've only heard of SB19.
Ako rin, SB19. Nung sumikat yung Mapa, with collaboration with Ben and Ben.
I've known them notoriously for a copy of K-pop, and I've seen a lot of news about that on TikTok as well.
But do you agree that they're a copy of K-pop?
No, I don't think it's a copy. I think it's more of an inspiration. Their singing styles and dancing styles are heavily influenced by K-pop, but I don't think they're a copy.
I heard about them naturally because I'm a K-pop fan. People who tend to say things like that. They're also kind of trending right now. Jungwon danced their song, Jungwon from HORI7ON. So yeah, Gento. But yeah, I wouldn't agree that they're a copy either. But yeah, I understand why it's similar, the way that they create their art, you know, the outfits or the synchronized dancing and all that. But I think at the end of the day, they're still doing their own thing. They have their own message and they're doing it in Tagalog. So
One of K-pop's biggest award shows, the 2023 Asia Artist Awards, is coming to the Philippines. Both SB19 and HORI7ON were the only Filipino groups that were chosen to be part of the artist lineup. Do you think that either of these groups are a great representation of Philippine talent to the global stage?
Oh, maganda. Kasi nakikita ko yung mga kanta ng SB19. Pinapromote talaga nila yung culture natin.
I don't know that much about yung song mismo, pero as long as may representative para sa country natin, it's a good opportunity. Then I'm happy that they were able to preserve and teach some of our culture.
I would say yes, because SB19, they're a really nice group. They're unified and they really represent the Philippines to their songs. SB19 has shown a lot of Philippine culture through their music. When it comes to culture, it's not really something that you can see in music. In some songs like Mapa by SB19, they show some of the values that Filipinos have in their family. I guess that's important.
Yeah, they represent the Philippines well. They're Filipinos themselves, so I guess that's a big thing that they're representing the whole Philippines.
And I suppose since they already have like a large following, it just goes to show that a lot of Filipinos really do like support them.
The first time I heard one of their songs, I didn't know it was an SB19 song. It was a background music for a show. When I realized that it was SB19, all the stereotypes that I had previously on them about them being a copy of K-pop, somehow it went down the drain. I expected all their songs to sound like Korean songs, but I didn't expect that they were using the Filipino language and communicating through the Filipinos with their song, which is why I think they would be a great representation for the Filipino music industry. Considering that they're pretty big already, it would really somehow give an avenue to the Philippines and the Filipino culture to be known internationally.
I'm glad that they are in the lineup for such a big award show. I mean, if you are a K-pop fan, you would know that the AAs are a big deal. I know that SB19 has already gotten pretty big. Somehow they have made a name for themselves like internationally already. It's really cool that they're able to show the rest of the world that Filipinos have that to offer.
What I love about them is that even though they have a lot of hate from people, they still prove them wrong.
SB19 somewhat half and half because I've seen their content, I've seen how they represent themselves. It's kind of a bit K-pop-ish as well. Pero since they sing OPM, I would say mostly they are a good representation of OPM.
Wait, why do you think they're K-pop-ish?
Their dances, their style. It's like a lot of boy bands in K-pop.
Pero you wouldn't say that it's like Western roots?
No, I wouldn't think so. Or for me personally, no, not really.
Can I ask why? Sorry I'm grilling you.
Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Because for me, I've seen K-pop groups and I would compare SB19 to groups such as 17. They're not super similar, but they are some that show up.
But you do listen to SB19?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so I think they'd be a good representation for a country, just seeing how far they're getting.
It's like great to have like, you know, a Filipino representation like out of the country.
You mentioned this for Horizon, right? But how about SB19?
I think SB19 as well is a good representation for at least Ppop. Recently, I think like their songs been going viral on TikTok.
Yeah, I think same also because like their songs were viral.
Yeah.
I think I have a cousin actually who's kind of like into their music, and I believe that they mix Filipino words also into their songs. It's also great because like, you know, like K-pop songs, a lot of their fans get encouraged to learn the language also because of their songs. Maybe it can also be like that with SB19, that people will be encouraged to like, you know, learn Filipino. In my opinion, SB19 is a good representation of today's generation, especially since a lot of us connect with their songs and listen to them a lot.
Yeah, I think Horizon and SB19 definitely. SB19, I'm pretty sure, is like one of the most famous boy groups in Ppop now, if not the most, because of how good they are in terms of skill. Also, I know that one of the members releases music in Cebuana as well, so that's a really good representation. For Horizon, I'm not really familiar with them, but I know that they're being handled, I think, are they being handled by Korean entertainment, I think. But still, they're really good representation. I also like one particular Ppop group, which is Alamat. If they were included in AAA as well, it would be a good exposure for the multicultural aspect of the Philippines, because all of the members are from different parts of the Philippines, but SB19 and Horizon are a good stepping point to introduce Ppop and OPM music to the world.
SB19 and Horizon may be good enough. There definitely needs to be more representation, and it would be nice to have other groups like Alamat included.
While both of these groups have taken different approaches to their music, SB19 having more traditional OPM influence in their recent releases, and Horizon taking the more K-pop music approach. Prior to their debut, both of these groups were trained and handled by Korean companies and were trained through the Korean Idol training system. Because of this, some Filipinos have become very dismissive of these groups. But in your opinion, is there anything wrong with a Filipino group going through the Korean Idol training system? Would it make you any less proud of them as a Filipino?
There's really nothing wrong with that. And for them, they're building their character through experiences. They're still presenting Filipino culture. So the Korean industry, they're just there to help them build their music, their talents.
The K-pop industry shouldn't be like limited to just Koreans. There's really no problem with Filipinos being trained under a Korean industry. I don't think it should be said na, oh, they're just copying. Music is open to literally everyone. It's not limited to just one specific group. Maybe saying na being trained under a K-pop industry is just like a branch of it. It's not something that should be closed off to more people.
I don't think you can really compare the two because you talk about two different literal like culture. Whatever Ppop does stays in Ppop, whatever K-pop does is in K-pop.
I only know SB19. I guess like they're singing and dancing, even like their fashion is similar to K-pop, but in terms of like their music, they're representing the country through the Filipino language in their songs. So there's similarities, but they're not the same.
Representing the Philippines, I don't think it should like correlate with how they train. It's not like they represent Korean culture, they represent Filipino culture.
The point is not who's copying who, but the fact that SB19 and Horizon is representing the country.
I don't think so. As long as there's still a form of Filipino representation, I don't think it matters that they're trained through a Korean system. In fact, you know, the Korean or the K-pop industry and everything is really big. It could actually boost or like make it easier for Filipino talents to get known.
I agree.
I don't think it really matters that the really good and the really popular training systems are Korean. It just so happens that it is. And, you know, the talents are still Filipino.
We need to learn from somewhere. K-pop has been really popular. They're very experienced in entertainment. So I would say that it's not bad that they're learning from Koreans because it's one way to get a head start from other groups that aren't OPM.
For me, I'm not disappointed by it because I think that the K-pop industry, where they got and like how they became bigger is through their system. The fact that they're helping the Philippines kind of break out of that is really cool and like would really help the Philippines get into a bigger audience.
I'm just proud that there are Filipinos representing us like SB19 or like HORI7ON. It doesn't really matter where they train. It doesn't make me like any less, proud to be a Filipino because they're thriving right now. I'm proud of it and like, whatever works for them.
Yung K-pop, parang mataas na standard. Mataas na yung nila, na reach nila. Parang it's not bad naman to learn from them kasi they're setting the standard. Nakikita ko naman sa mga kanta ng SB19 na nilalagyan talaga nila ng sariling flavor. Na-incorporate talaga nila yung pagiging Filipino din sa mga kanta nila.
I don't think na porket na may standards na related sa K-pop, it deems na mababa yung group na SB19 and other OPM songs. It's a great way para foreigners from other countries to learn more about our culture and other songs na mal-like din nila from coming from it. Doesn't mean na porket may new style na yung group ng SB19, I don't think it's completely copying everything. It's more of creating new creativity by it.
I think the bias against using or utilizing the K-pop training system is a bias against K-pop in general. As a K-pop stan myself, I think that K-pop should be respected and in a sense, it should be utilized by other countries as we've seen how K-pop can be successful and it can be helpful to the culture of Koreans as a whole.
Just in terms of looking at it from the perspective of someone who is training to become an idol, it's pretty well known that the Korean industry has a lot of experience in that they have a more established system. I'm not sure if the Philippines is like that as well, but from what I know, it's not structured full of strength yet. There's no specific training or industry that we know of, or like an entertainment agency that does that kind of training. The fact that they trained under a Korean agency isn't something that should be dismissed or used against them. You can't blame them for wanting to learn from people who are experienced, but it would be nice if the Philippines could also have their own idol agents.
For me, I think it's similar in the sense that they are trained that way, so there is some Korean influence there. But them being Filipinos, making Filipino style music in Filipino makes it our own. In an age where it's all about creative reinterpretation, I think it doesn't take away from the fact that they are Filipino and Filipino representation.
They're Filipino themselves, so you can say na their music is OPM. Just because they trained sa Korea or trained under a Korean agency, if they make music in Filipino or any other languages here in the Philippines, tapos Pinoy sila, then it's something to be proud of.
Aside from the music industry, there's also the show business where we always get a saying na Filipinos parating nagkokopya from American shows, Korean shows. But I don't think there's anything wrong with getting inspiration. From what I heard with their music, it's not really a copy. All K-pop songs, it still uses Filipino language. So I wouldn't say yung paghanga ko nagiging less. From the inspiration that they get internationally, they make use of it in a way na parang they also add the Filipino culture in their songs and in their work.
So I don't think that there's anything wrong with the fact that they adopted it, honing an artist's skills, the training system that they use when it comes to K-pop idols. So I think that it's good that they use that because they know that it will work out.
It's fine that they're being trained by Koreans. They're innovating the Korean style and aligning it to our culture.
We're so used to the traditional OPM music that we have, but when we innovate and somehow add something new to it, it also catches the audience attention. My major comment would just be for Filipinos to somehow be open-minded and accept these new groups such as SB19 and HORI7ON to develop and to see the progress from where we came from OPM and let's say like MYMP, acoustic, bossa nova artists, rap and K-pop influence groups such as SB19 and HORI7ON.